Hey guys, it's tombox. Thanks for tuning into MST.TV's full set analysis part 2, which is the secrets and hype cards. This usually is the first part, but based on how things were released, now we get to see how things go. And big news, of course, there's Prismatic Secrets in this set, and there's also Prismatic Ultras. From what I've seen so far, this is actually pretty exciting. This is the first time we're getting something like this. Kind of reminds me of the old days of Ultimate Rare. Not like Ghost Rare. Ghost Rare were just their own thing entirely because they were much harder to pull. But maybe Prismatics are going to be more like Ultimate Rares, and then we can guess their price point based off of that. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Okay, we're gonna kick things off with the 8 secret rares. So starting off with Cap Shell, this is our TCG exclusive number 000, I believe. So number 000, we have Cap Shell. He's just a monster that lets you draw cards if you use him as a material. You pay cost with him. As long as it's not discarding from your hand, you get to draw one card. You can use one of the following effects of Cap Shell per turn, only once that turn. In other words, there's no point spamming multiple copies of this card. You tribute it. You can draw one card, you can fuse it, you can draw one card, you can synchro with it, draw one card, you can link summon with it, draw one card, you can detach it as an Xyz material, and also draw one card. In other words, he's a draw one, but the tribute isn't just for tribute summon, it just says tributed. So, in other words, you can use it for enemy control, steal your opponent's monster, draw one card. That doesn't seem like such a bad deal to me. But regardless, looking at this card, probably not the secret that you're looking for. There's only about... well, half the secrets are good. Well, okay, maybe a little bit more than half. A lot of them are definitely useful and a bit more specific in terms of the use case. Like, nothing is like completely outstanding. But hey, there is something we can look forward to. I guess this is perhaps a $5 to $10 secret rare, and probably if you get a prismatic version of this, I'm not even sure if every single card has a prismatic version. If every single like high rarity card has a prismatic version, well, then you can treat them more like ultimate rares. Remember back in the day of ultimate rares, if you get a bad ulti, usually it's just like $3 to $5 more. But then if you get a good ultimate rare, well, the range from $10 to $20 more. That's how the price range went, and that's just how it is. This is not like the ultimate rares coming from an OTS pack, because those are like super hard to get. That's why they're always like much higher than the original print. And that being said, let's move on to the next card. I know some of you guys are like, oh, what happened to your usual set? Oh man, your place is such a mess, tombox. I'm working on resetting up my recording station, and this is my actual recording station number 2 now. I got a new station coming in, and that's a little background news for me. So okay, and next one we have Giznek Orochi, the Sky Slasher. I forgot the middle word for this guy, but yes, this is for you banished folks out there. I think it's like pretty decent card. It has such an awkward stats of 2450, so enjoy having that in your calculator. So this card, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, it has a quick effect. You can summon himself up by banishing the top 8 cards of your deck face down. So that's a pretty decent effect. It is an activated effect, so remember, he can technically get crowed out. That being said, you can banish 3 cards from your extra deck face down, then target one face-up monster on the field, destroy it. He gets a free, I guess, monster-based destruction. He can come out whenever. He can really just power up that Grim Mayu to Iza and perhaps even disrupt your opponent. I think this card is amazing. If you're going to be playing Grim Mayu to Iza, then this is definitely one of the more welcomed additions to your deck. Since you guys lost Fairy Tail Snow, this is somewhat of a replacement for you. Of course, not as powerful as Snow. Snow getting that Book of Moon effect right away. Flipping something face down can disrupt synergy. This one does not have a quick effect to pop a card. It has a banish 3 from the extra deck to do so. In other words, you have to also limit down the amount of Pot of Extravagance that you're playing as well. So in terms of price point, if this card comes in secret, well, of course it comes in secret, then it will be priced around maybe 15 to 20. I don't see it being any higher than that. It is a nice to have. It is level 8. It gets traded into the graveyard. There's some synergy there, but overall, not exactly the most hyped up card for sure. So it's about $20. Perhaps it's going to go lower to the 15 range. And if you get, of course, the ulti, or not ulti, but like the prismatic version of this card, maybe it'll be higher. I'm not even sure if all these cards have prismatic, but I'm just gonna throw that out there just in case. So it might be like 25 for prismatic. I don't know. It's been so long since we haven't like a set base like extra rarity. Next in the secret lineup is a Witchcrafter support, and it's not just Witchcrafter. To some degree, you can use it generically for spellcasters, but this card is pretty amazing. It has offering of a compulsory evacuation device upon special summoning through the effect. So how does it work? So whenever your opponent activates a card effect that targets your spellcaster or target your spellcaster for an attack, and this card is in your hand, I believe, you get to target a card that your opponent controls or a Witchcrafter spell in your graveyard, which is that or part that changes it up so that it can be a bit more generic for spellcaster based decks. You can special summon this card, and if you do, return the target card to your hand. That is pretty awesome, and you can only use this effect once per turn, but this card does go back into your hand during your opponent's standby phase. So actually, it's pretty decent timing. If it summons out during your opponent's turn, it jumps back to your hand during opponent's standby phase, so you get to reuse it for additional disruption. Overall, I think this is one of the more sought after cards. It's very pretty. It's a waifu card, as per se. So in terms of card price wise, it's probably about 25, 30 upon release. And if Witchcrafter do really well, if they go to like top tier level, you can see the price of this card go up. And if there's even a prismatic version of this card, add $10 to whatever price, so it could be like 35, it could even be 50 if it's like super popular. But I don't think this is a card you play 3 of. Let me know. I don't even know how to play Witchcrafter, so you guys can let me know how wrong I am or how right I could be on this price point. I haven't really checked out the pre-release price, but these are the prices that I usually see things start off at and then eventually settle to, just based off of the I guess the representation at larger events. Next, we have another spellcaster. This time is Synchros Fortune Lady Every. I believe Solitaire Magician got an adult version now, so that's kind of really nice. And this is because a level 7 synchro with a 28 beater stat as well, because it gains 400 attack for every level it has. And once per turn during the standby phase, you increase level by 1 and then banish one face of monster opponent controls. That is a pretty decent standby phase effect, but it seems a little bit slow, seems a little situational. But thinking back about the lower part of the effect, if this card is during your opponent's end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one other spellcaster monster in your graveyard, special summon this card, and that's pretty awesome. So by the time it gets back to the standby phase or your standby phase, you get to banish one of your opponent's monsters. So that's pretty decent. I say it's not bad as a level 7 spellcaster generic. It's not complete generic, it's spellcaster centric synchro. It's a pretty decent addition. It's pretty. Another card with a waifu on it. In fact, most of these secrets have waifus on them. So let's move on into the Marine Cess territory. We have Coral Anemone. This one lets you basically get a free material and you get additional summons. It's just overall, this is the engine card that you would need for the deck, and I can see that this is probably one of the higher money secrets, probably 35, 40 for a copy, and since you need multiple copies, it's going to be a bit more pricey. And since this is probably the biggest chase card of the set, and there are ultra chases as well, this one is probably going to be priced around 40 or 50. And I think we have seen one Prismatic Secret that is the next card, which is Goddess. But if this one has a Prismatic one, it will obviously be quite a bit more expensive. I'm not sure if you guys even like the Prismatic Secret. Some people are comparing them to like Gold Rare, and I don't think it's like Gold Rare. I think Prismatic Secrets are their own thing. To some people, like it's like Platinum Rare, and it's just like, oh man, this is just not good. Why don't they just give us back Ultis? Yeah, we all could wish that there are Ultis. Again, this is what I think. And yeah, what does this card even do? Target water monsters with 1500 attack or less in your graveyard and special summon to a zone. In other words, gives you a quick boost to Link 3. And I think you get to target your Marine Cess cards and add it back to your hand if it's sent to the graveyard. So yeah, there's tons of great things about this. It's just free material overall. Okay, next we have Apollousa, the goddess of the Bow of the Goddess. This card is your generic negation with a body. It's almost like Light and Darkness Dragon to some degree. This card's attack, of course, becomes equal to the number of material used to make this card. It's a generic Link 4, except for tokens, so you just can't just spam tokens to make this. But you get a negation of once per chain when your opponent activates a monster effect. You can make this card lose exactly exactly 800 attack, and if you do negate the activation, it does not destroy. So yeah, that's why Light and Darkness Dragon is a fair comparison, and you get to make that choice. So if you have nothing better to make with your links and you want to link them off, maybe consider going to this monster. It's going to be one of the big boss monster, probably priced around maybe 45, 50. I think that's probably where it's going to be at. I think it's actually going to go down a bit because it's a 1-of in your deck. It's not going to be a 3-of, unless you can find some way to special summon 3 copies of this card. Let me know, because I would love to see that kind of negation going on. But if you can't summon 3 or more of this card, then I'd see it around like 45, 50 right now in the release, and then probably gonna tank to 30-ish. But the prismatic copy, I don't know. I think there's a lot of hype behind this whole prismatic thing, and I think people might be blowing it out of proportion. It might start off at like 75-ish, maybe even 80, depending on how short print it is. I don't know, so I can't give you even an accurate stat on this. But usually, if it's a really good card, 10 to 20 above, as per se. Finally, we get to, well, not finally, but I guess the second last one, we have Get Out. Get out. So we get Out, so just target 2 of your opponent's monsters that are summoned out from the extra deck and just shuffle them back into the deck. Pretty solid trap, kind of reminds you of Treacherous Trap Hole when Treacherous Trap Hole came out. Just get to bounce 2 cards. Yeah, I think it's pretty decent, especially at any deck playing with the extra deck. Although I wouldn't consider maining decks like this card because it's really awkward to main this card if you're playing against like a Monarch deck or playing against an Altergeist deck. Like, what are you really going to spin back? This becomes a dead draw. And we get to our last card, Marine's Marbled Rock. Compared to Anemone, this one's probably gonna be a bit cheaper because when you get to the next set after this in Chaos Impact, you're gonna replace your entire line of extra deck anyways with the 3 new Link monsters they're throwing at you, and this doesn't become the main boss monster. This one's pretty good at retrieving pluses, however. It only requires 2 or more water monsters to make, which fits in with like a Toad. If you have like a Toad strategy that's also added into your deck, it does work out because, well, Swap Frog gets a free summon anyway, and you have tons of water monsters to kind of fuel that strategy. So you can target 1 Marine Cess card in your graveyard, except for Marbled Rock, and add it to your hand. And this effect is once per turn, so just leaving her out is already pretty solid. But on top of that, when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can send a Marine Cess monster from your hand to the graveyard. Monsters cannot be destroyed by that battle. Also, you take no battle damage from that battle. In other words, you can stall out. If you can amass massive pluses and prevent your Marbled Rock from being destroyed or being removed from the field, your opponent has no battle phase. The battle phase is completely crippled, and if your life points are safe, that just means you won't die. And that means you get an additional turn. Like, you hate it when you can't finish off your opponent. Your opponent, like, you leave them with 200 life points, you commit all your resources, you basically know that the game's over for you because the counterattack is going to be enough to break your entire board, and the recovery is going to be almost non-existent. And that's where Marbled Rock is there. But Marbled Rock, in terms of price point, I would say about 25, 30 or so upon the initial drop. If there's a prismatic version, maybe 40, and you guys can just guess the prices. I know it's not like Extravagance, where Extravagance is like 70, 60. Right now it's like 77. But these are more they're more archetype specific. So that's the limitation on why their prices are lower. I get that some people are like, oh man, upon the sneak peek, a lot of people like to inflate their prices, but things usually settle down a lot faster now that, you know, people just spend time like looking at the patterns of past sets. Pay attention to past sets if you don't want to lose money or you don't want to overspend. I might have overestimated on some of these, but this is my initial estimation, and I would never pay more than any of the listed prices for these cards. So let's go on to some of the hype cards that aren't secret rare. Okay, now for our line of monsters, we have Borreload X Charge Dragon. This is a cover card, so it gets the cover card coverage. This is just letting you play with more of your rocket monsters, your dark dragons. If you're 2 level 4 dark dragons, you can make this monster, and you can lower your opponent's monster's attack by 600, but you can also revive one of your big Boro monsters. But then for the rest of the turn, you can't attack directly, and you also cannot special summon any more monsters, so it has a big limitation. But if you revive Boro Sword, you can probably just end your opponent anyway. If you have Borreload, you can take control of the board. Not too bad, not too bad, but this is probably like a $10-ish maybe in terms of an ultra rare, maybe even higher if you can get those prismatic versions of them. Then we have Blue Slug. Be very careful of how much you spend on this card, but it is probably gonna be your pricey ultra rare. That and probably Seahorse. Those two are mandatory for playing the deck of Marine Cess. If you don't have either, both of them are probably going to be priced around the same because they're both basically played in equal frequency, and because of that, you're probably looking forward to spending, say, $20 for an Ultra. That's unfortunate. And even more so if you get the Prismatic version, because I think we've seen a Prismatic version of the Seahorse, but yeah, I didn't include it here because it's kind of the same card. Next we have Rising Fire. this is a premature burial for fire monsters, even though it's just strictly like, it does say it's a Salamangreat card. It's a pretty decent card because we know that there's Fire Fists that are gaining a ton of boost with their new support, so think about it that way. Long-term investment wise, this is a pretty decent card to think about. Hopefully, I don't even know the rarity of this card, but if it's a super or above, I would appreciate it. But even if it's a common, if it gets boosted later on, I'd still be also very happy. Now this is kind of a personal favorite card of mine in this set. We have Blockout Curtain. Blockout Curtain is like an anti-destruction card. You just play this card and then it just absorbs any destruction. If a card you control would be destroyed by battle or opponent's card effect, you can destroy this card instead. If a card your opponent controls would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead of destroying one of those cards. In other words, you can just protect, like, it just protects. That's really neat. It's like you can't get ogre. You can protect yourself from getting ogre. You can protect yourself from, like, you can protect your Mystic Mine. Okay, that someone just disliked this comment right there. Protect Mystic Mine, guys. Yeah, overall, like, a lot of the protection-based spells, they are like very specific on what it protects, but this one's so generic and it's like a one-time shot that I think it has some value in future play to make plays a lot more safe. It definitely ruins the value of ogre if this thing becomes very popular among the competitive scene, so that's something I take away from this, but I don't know what the price is. Is this even a common? Let me know down in the comments. And then we have Storm Dragon's Return. Fun fact, when this card returned, our Lord of the Storm came back. Our Lord of the Storm Tempest came back, so I'm gonna be paying attention to see if there's gonna be any Infernal, Boulder, or whatever Waterfall card that comes out in the future as a trap, and then we'll take a look at the ban list, and if any of the Dragon Rulers come back, maybe that's how they're gonna slowly reintroduce all the Dragon Rulers back in. Who knows? Maybe I'm going crazy. I'm looking forward to getting multiple copies of this because it reminds me of a not Call by the Great, but Call of the Haunted, because you just target a banished monster and just special summon it. It seems very useful for a generic just banish revival. And another option for this is to revive out Thunder Dragon monsters, because then you can just get them and then add it back to your hand so you get to reuse it too. Lots of value for this card if you're playing pure Thunder Dragon. I think a lot of other decks that play Banish can also utilize this card, so it's not just dragons. Next we have White Howling. I'm pretty excited to see traps moving back to the front line. They have much stronger traps, and the only way for traps to be viable is that their utility matches the timing, because the traps naturally are a bit slow. Either you speed up the traps timing and you can weaken their power, or you make a trap super powerful. White Howling is like a water version of Harpy's Feather Storm, because Feather Storm negates basically all your opponent's monster effects. This one stops all your opponent's spell effects on their side of the field for this turn. All you need to do is banish one of their spells in their graveyard, as long as you control water monsters. So this is gonna be a very strong card. I can see that this is a complete blowout against Sky Striker, because you can skip their entire turn, although they can still like set stuff, but if you use it on your own turn, well, what are they going to do about it? They don't have any kind of negation. I know that Solemn Judgment is a thing, but at this point, you basically force them into activating Solemn Judgment. And finally, we have Draconian Romulus. Use 2 dragons or wing beasts except tokens, and you get to add Dragon's Ravine to your hand. I think it's pretty neat. Some people are thinking about using this card in guard dragons. It's decent, it's possible, especially if you play Dragon's Ravine. I think that for a pendulum deck, you might make a little bit more use out of this monster compared to the others, but that's just my thoughts on it so far. Will they put Dragoonies back on the map? Do they have everything that they have in OCG? But I don't think the Dragoonies are doing all too well so far. So anyways, that's all the cards I'm really hyped about. I'm really glad that we get another Dragon Link that is, well, 2 arrows pointing, and also the card art, pretty solid. And that's all I got for this video, guys. I'm just rushing through this so I can actually get back into my room sorting and finishing up my rest of the setup. So maybe you guys will see in the next video over there. I'm not going to show you guys. So I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope you guys have a great day and have a good sneak, guys. Bless your polls. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please drop us a like so we know we are doing a good job, and you can also subscribe to MST.TV for more fantastic videos by clicking on the button on the left. Don't forget to check out our partners at Imperium Duelist. They make really high quality mats, including some of my own limited edition release stuff. And if you want to check out one of our past videos, click here on the right. As always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you next time.